WBC introduced a new belt for the upcoming Canelo vs. Berlanga and took its spark away. Where Berlanga has decided to retire after this fight, introducing a new belt seems not a better idea for him.
Yeah, I want to definitely retire him, for sure. That's my goal.
Edgar Berlanga expressed his view on the state of boxing, asserting that the sport is in dire need of a new face to bring excitement and energy. He pointed out that boxing thrives on knockouts and showmanship, comparing the impact of fighters like Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson.
I feel like right now, just the sport of boxing needs a new face. You know what I'm saying? They need excitement. They need knockouts. They need somebody that's going to bring that energy into the sport of boxing the way, Floyd did, Mike Tyson,
Edgar Berlanga made it clear that while he respects Canelo Alvarez's legendary status, he is fully focused on the task at hand. He emphasized that despite his admiration for Canelo, they still have to step into the ring and do what fighters do, battle it out.
And I'm not trying to sit here and disrespect him or nothing, like, he a legend, but at the end of the day, we got to go in there, we got to fight, and we got to tussle, and we got to do what we got to do, you know what I'm saying? So, like, what he said something, he said, oh, every fighter wants a knockout. Yeah, everybody wants a knockout. But are you going to deliver it or not? You know what I'm saying?
Edgar Berlanga first expressed his gratitude to Canelo Alvarez for allowing him to fight, acknowledging that Canelo could have easily selected someone else. He appreciated the fact that Canelo chose him for the match, despite having other options to make big money. He said he could fight whoever he wants, but he decided to come and give me that opportunity, and I appreciate that. I told him and his team during the press conference that I thank him for giving us this opportunity because he could have bypassed me if he wanted to. Berlanga confidently stated that he feels he is the ideal person to take the belts from Canelo. He described himself as the chosen one and suggested that Canelo needed someone worthy to hand over the titles. He added, "He chose me, he chose the chosen one. I feel like he needs somebody to give up those belts to, and I'm the perfect guy." Meanwhile, if we talk about the belt, the World Boxing Council, or WBC, has announced the introduction of the special Tamaulipas II belt for the winner, but fans are not happy. Mauricio Sulaiman, president of the WBC, will present this special edition belt, inspired by Mexico's traditional Cuera Tamaulipeca. However, fans have voiced their frustration on social media, criticizing the WBC for creating too many belts. Bernard Hopkins shared his prediction for the upcoming fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga, emphasizing Canelo's seriousness once the fight begins. Hopkins confidently stated that Canelo would secure a knockout within 5 to 6 rounds, suggesting that Canelo's intensity and focus would lead to a decisive victory early in the fight.
When the bell ring, Canelo's serious. And that's why I say Canelo gets knock him out within 5 or 6 rounds.
He pointed out that both fighters are aiming for knockouts, but believes this will ultimately lead to Edgar Berlanga getting knocked out, as Canelo thrives when his opponent engages aggressively.
He gets the knockout. Canelo gets the knockout. Canelo gets the knockout within 6-7 rounds.
Berlanga says going for the knockout as well.
Huh?
Berlanga says he's going for the knockout as well.
Sure, and that's why he will get knocked out.
Bernard Hopkins continued his prediction by explaining that Edgar Berlanga had no choice but to engage Canelo Alvarez aggressively, but in doing so, he believed Berlanga would face defeat. Hopkins was confident in his pick, and he emphasized saying, "Berlanga must come to the fire. I'm going with Canelo. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Anything can happen. But if you're asking me, Bernard, who are you going for if you had to put money down? Canelo all day." Bernard Hopkins discussed how Edgar Berlanga may have made a critical mistake by firing up Canelo Alvarez with his pre-fight trash talk. He explained that staying quiet might have resulted in a less brutal fight, but now Canelo is determined to punish Berlanga beyond just winning. Hopkins suggested that Canelo's mindset shifted from simply getting through the fight to delivering serious damage.
You know the worst thing he did to Canelo? He energized him to destroy him. Sometimes you just keep your mouth shut and the guy don't beat you up that bad, and it just make you have the fight, give you the career to fight another fight one day. You live to fight another day. That type of mentality that, you heard that before. It's an old saying. He blew that. Canelo took that off the table.
In the second part, Hopkins emphasized that Canelo is now driven to cause harm in a way he hadn't initially planned. What was going to be a standard fight has become personal, with Canelo aiming to go beyond the win and inflict serious pain. He concluded by saying, "It ain't even personal, he just wants to show him now. See, I was going to just go in, beat you up and get my 30 million, but now I'm going to go ahead and make you piss blood." Anyhow, now beyond the belt drama, the fight itself between Mexico's Canelo Alvarez and Puerto Rico's Edgar Berlanga is heating up. This battle also revives the historic rivalry between Mexican and Puerto Rican boxers, something Suleiman highlighted with pride. Still, fans are divided, wondering if the WBC's belt announcement is taking attention away from the actual fight, but the fight is still printing money. Eddie Hearn, the Matchroom boxing promoter, expressed his excitement about the fight, revealing that the tickets for the event are either sold out or nearly sold out, which is a testament to the magnitude of the bout. He highlighted the significance of the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry and emphasized that it would be a huge event. Hearn praised Berlanga's dedication, saying that he will come into the fight with everything he's got, making him a serious threat to Canelo.
So I think, I believe the tickets are sold out or nearly sold out. It's a massive show, Mexico against Puerto Rico, and can't wait. It's going to be a massive event. Edgar's going for it, 10 toes down, balls to the wall, and he's going to be a real threat in this fight.
Eddie Hearn reflected on his relationship with Canelo Alvarez, acknowledging the mutual respect between them, but making it clear that his focus is now on supporting Edgar Berlanga in their upcoming fight. Hearn expressed his admiration for Canelo, calling him a great fighter and a great person.
He's not thinking about me, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not really thinking about him. Love the guy, respect him to the moon, great fighter, great bloke, but I want Edgar Berlanga to win the fight. I'm Team Berlanga, and may the best man win September 14th.
Eddie Hearn expressed his support for Edgar Berlanga, praising his punching power and character while acknowledging the challenge that lies ahead. Hearn admitted that Canelo Alvarez, being one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, presents a difficult fight for Berlanga. However, he believes that Berlanga's fighting style and determination make him the right opponent to face Canelo. He said, "I like our guy Edgar Berlanga. He's a character, he's a huge puncher, and he'll come to fight. It's a tough fight. Canelo is a pound-for-pound great, one of the top fighters in the world, but Edgar Berlanga is the fight to make." Virgil Ortiz Jr., a rising star in the boxing world, acknowledged Canelo Alvarez's right to choose his opponents, given his incredible track record and accomplishments. Ortiz recognized that after facing and defeating some of the best fighters across multiple weight classes, Canelo has earned the privilege to select who he fights. Ortiz also expressed frustration with the promotional angle of the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry, which is being used to hype up the fight. He argued that for this rivalry to be meaningful, both fighters need to be top-level threats to one another. Ortiz implied that Berlanga may not pose the level of danger needed to make this clash a truly thrilling contest.
If Canelo wants it, that might last 3 rounds. I don't know. Maybe a right overhand or something. But they're trying to use the Puerto Rican-Mexico rivalry. The guy got to be good. The guy got to be someone that really give him a threat that can fight. That's not a. They're trying to use a rivalry. That's not going to sell it. It won't sell me.
Meanwhile, Edgar Berlanga, aware of the criticism surrounding the fight, took to Twitter to defend the bout and Canelo's decision to face him. Berlanga highlighted Canelo's legendary status, stating that the Mexican champion has earned the right to fight whoever he wants. He urged fans to tune in despite the negative opinions surrounding the matchup. Berlanga tweeted, "Canelo could fight whoever he wants. He's a legend in the sport of boxing at this point. Just tune in for us. The haters and everybody that's talking, keep talking." Edgar Berlanga, brimming with confidence, has promised to knock Canelo out within 6 rounds and even suggested he could retire the Mexican champion from boxing. "He's a legend, but at the end of the day we have to fight," Berlanga said. With an undefeated record of 22-0, including 17 knockouts, Berlanga believes it's his time to become the face of boxing's 168-pound division. He's made it clear that his goal is to take over the sport and cement his own legacy on September 14th, a weekend tied to Mexico's Independence Day celebrations. Oscar de la Hoya, in his Clapback Thursday segment, didn't hold back his criticism of the upcoming Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga fight, labeling it as a fight nobody asked for. He pointed out the hefty price tag for the pay-per-view, calling it robbery given the underwhelming nature of the matchup. De la Hoya dismissed the fight as another predictable Canelo bout that will likely go the distance against a lesser opponent.
So we're a week away from the boxing match that nobody asked for, right? And the UFC event that everybody will be watching. Canelo's fighting Berlanga. Another snooze fest. They're trying to sell a pay-per-view for $90 and $500 minimum in person. It's just robbery at this point to pay for another lame Canelo fight that always goes the distance. against a subpar.
De La Hoya went on to mention that, instead of attending the boxing event, he would be at a UFC event, supporting Dana White. Despite his deep love for boxing, De La Hoya emphasized that he finds the Canelo fight uninspiring, preferring to watch UFC instead. He said, "I'll actually be attending the UFC event at the Sphere instead. I love the sport of boxing more than anything, and I will watch boxing matches anywhere and anytime, even if it's a simple sparring session or two bums fighting in the street." Finally, De La Hoya ended with a personal jab at Dana White, teasing him about their shared experience of undergoing similar surgeries and expressing excitement to see him at the UFC event. The controversy between Dana White and Oscar De La Hoya began around 2017, when De La Hoya criticized UFC fighter Conor McGregor's boxing match against Floyd Mayweather. White, president of the UFC, hit back by accusing De La Hoya of hypocrisy after De La Hoya promoted his own crossover events.
Dana, I can't wait to see you next Saturday, buddy. I see that you got the same ab surgery I got. I always knew you wanted to be like me, bro. It will be great to hang out with you face to face. Let's go!
Promoter Steven Espinosa believes Berlanga could give the Mexican champion a serious challenge. Espinosa pointed out Berlanga's hunger and motivation, suggesting that the fight might be more competitive than many expect. Steven Espinosa discussed the upcoming fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga, emphasizing that Berlanga is not merely showing up for the fight, but is genuinely motivated and unafraid of the challenge. He noted that Berlanga's fire and emotion will be key in making the bout competitive. Both fighters showed some spark, some fire, some emotion, and clearly there was a sense that Berlanga is not a guy who is just there to show up, that he's motivated, that he's not intimidated. Because when you have a guy as experienced and accomplished as Canelo, one of your big challenges is to convince people that his fights will be competitive. Meanwhile, Canelo, who boasts 65 wins, 39 knockouts, and just 2 losses, remains a formidable opponent. Despite Canelo's experience, some experts like Jose Benavidez voiced his frustration with Canelo Alvarez's decision to take on weaker opponents, suggesting that Canelo avoids tougher competition like himself. Benavidez drew comparisons with Jaime Munguia, warning that Canelo's strategy could lead to underwhelming results.
Everybody wants David Benavidez against Canelo. And Canelo right now, to me, he's fighting the guys that thinks that he can beat. There's no problem with Berlanga. Berlanga has not been looking good in his past fights, so I think what we saw with Munguia is going to be a little bit worse because Munguia is a better fighter, in my opinion. He had tougher fights and he's been getting hurt, but he's been taking care of business. Berlanga is barely winning the fights. I think he needs more experience, and at the end of the day, do what they can do. It's better for us. For Canelo, I think that he's wearing his body out. Another fight, is just wear and tear. So by the time he decides to fight David, I think we're going to fight him with one hand.
Meanwhile, Berlanga fired back at Benavidez on social media, launching personal attacks, including harsh words directed at Benavidez's father. Berlanga's post ignited further drama, escalating the tension between the fighters. Berlanga went on fire and named Benavidez on his X. He not only cursed Benavidez for criticizing Canelo for fighting him, but he also dragged his father into the drama. He wrote, "That fat ass. He is a dirtbag just like his father, and God don't bless nobody who's always hating on another man. That's for females, bro." Cabello for this fight is a different person. He always had this persona of a calm and tough person who broke during the promotion of this fight. Robert Garcia reflected on the surprising change in Canelo Alvarez's demeanor, attributing it to Edgar Berlanga's frequent callouts and taunts. Garcia found Canelo's reaction amusing, noting that it was unexpected from someone usually as composed and serious as Canelo. The more fiery attitude, sparked by Berlanga's provocations, seemed out of character for Canelo, but could work in favor of promoting the fight. Garcia remarked that this shift could attract more attention and help sell the fight even more.
It was funny. Yeah. It was funny. I didn't see that in Canelo. Around, all that shit. But it was fun. It was fun. It caught people's attention because we don't expect that from Canelo. He doesn't like that. Right. He's more of a serious person. But a little bit of that doesn't hurt. It's going to sell the fight a little more.
Robert Garcia added his thoughts on why Canelo's attitude seemed different, suggesting that it was likely part of a strategy to promote the fight. He hinted that Canelo's team may have advised him to be more vocal to help boost interest and attention for the upcoming bout. He claimed, "They told him, you gotta say some, you gotta be a little more vocal so we could sell this fight." I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Robert Garcia gave his thoughts on Canelo's mindset going into the fight, predicting that Canelo would push harder for a knockout this time. He noted that in some of Canelo's Canelo's recent bouts, like against Gennady Golovkin, Canelo seemed to hold back. However, this time Canelo appears to be taking it more personally.
I think Canelo should win by knockout. Canelo already said it. So for this, normally, most recently fights, especially against Munguia, it seemed like Canelo kind of held back a little. He didn't really push to get the knockout, which I think he could have.
Robert Garcia explained that Canelo Alvarez is approaching this fight with more intensity, predicting that Canelo will likely win by knockout or stoppage. He pointed out that in previous fights, like against Gennady Golovkin, Canelo didn't press hard for the knockout, but now seems to take Berlanga's challenge more personally.
This time he's taking it a little more personally, like he really wants to. So he already called it, that for 8 rounds he's gonna put a beating on him. So I do see Canelo maybe winning by stoppage.
The Puerto Rico versus Mexico rivalry has deep roots in boxing, with both nations producing legendary fighters over the years. This rivalry, now reignited by the Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga fight, plays into the traditional tension between the two boxing powerhouses. Mexican fighters like Canelo bring their country's proud history into the ring, while Berlanga represents Puerto Rican boxing, which has also produced champions like Miguel Cotto. Danny Garcia raised concerns about the legitimacy of the matchup. He expressed doubts about Berlanga's chances of beating Canelo and whether the fight would perform well in pay-per-view sales. He said, "Who actually thinks Berlanga could beat Canelo? Nobody. So is it going to do numbers pay-per-view? Then they want to try to sell the Puerto Rico-Mexico rivalry." Garcia also criticized the use of the Puerto Rico versus Mexico rivalry to promote the fight, arguing that it only works when both fighters are on the same level. He emphasized that while Canelo is a future Hall of Famer, Berlanga hasn't even beaten a world champion yet. He then added, "But the only way you sell that is when the Puerto Rican and the Mexico guy are equally in the same realm. But Canelo is a future Hall of Famer, and Berlanga hasn't even beaten a world champion yet." Angel Garcia reflected on Canelo Alvarez's journey in boxing, acknowledging his impressive career while discussing the unpredictability of future fights. He said that while it's hard to predict whether Canelo will lose, Alvarez has a great chance just like any other fighter.
I can't say he's going to lose. I can't predict the future. But he has a great chance like anybody else does. Canelo's a hell of a fighter. He did it.
Garcia mentioned how Canelo's rise to stardom caught him by surprise. He recounted how Golden Boy matchmakers, Robert Diaz and Eric Gomez, introduced Canelo as Cinnamon, and Garcia initially saw him as a basic fighter. However, over time, Canelo proved himself, earning the respect Garcia now gives him.
I remember when he first brought Canelo to America, Golden Boy. Wow. He was 30 18 years old. Okay. Because Robert, the matchmaker for Golden Boy, Robert Diaz and Eric Gomez told me, "Hey, look at this kid, they call him Cinnamon Canelo." On ESPN, he was doing his American Pro debut when he was 30-0. And I looked and I said, basic fighter.
Mostly for the fight, Canelo is becoming the favorite with each passing day. Similarly, Canelo Alvarez's sparring partner, Kieron Davis, has expressed doubts about Berlanga's ability to win. Davis was straightforward in saying that while Berlanga would try his best, he doesn't believe it will be enough to defeat Canelo.
I don't think that Berlanga has much of a shot in that fight. To be honest, I don't think that he's going to win. I think that he's going to try. I don't think it was going to be enough. I hope for a competitive fight because we love competitive fights, but I honestly don't think it's going to be very much competitive. I think
Kieron Davis continued his assessment of the Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga fight, explaining that Canelo's experience and skill will likely be too much for Berlanga to handle. He noted that even if Berlanga manages to land a big shot, he doesn't believe it will be enough to change the outcome. Davis is confident that Canelo would find a way to push through any trouble and secure the win.
He knows too much. I think he still has enough. And I think that it's going to be a little bit too much for Berlanga. I think that, you always land something in the fight. But I think even with landing something, unless it's like a one-shot bomb, even if you ever hurt Canelo in a fight, I still think Canelo will get through it somehow and figure out how to win. She just knows how to do that kind of shit.
Kieron Davis continued by emphasizing that the key to the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga will come down to IQ. However, he believes that Berlanga's fight IQ is not on the same level as Canelo's, especially given Canelo's experience and accolades. Davis noted that Canelo has faced every kind of style in the ring, which gives him the edge in this matchup. He concluded by saying, "I think he said the key to the fight is IQ. I think that is true, but I don't think it's on his side, especially not this fight against a guy who has all the accolades and has been in there with every every kind of style. David Benavidez harshly criticized Canelo Alvarez's decision to fight Edgar Berlanga, calling it a trash matchup, making Canelo avoid top-tier opponents. Benavidez argued that taking on lesser fighters could backfire, just like Jaime Munguia's struggles. Benavidez said, "It's the trash-ass fight, and I think nobody wants to see that. But at the end of the day, Canelo doesn't want to see the toughest opposition." He expressed frustration at being Canelo's mandatory challenger for years without getting a fight, and questioned the purpose of an interim title if it doesn't lead to real bouts. He said, "I have been his mandatory for the last 3 years. I can't force a man to fight me. It shouldn't even come to a position where you have to activate your mandatory. What's the interim title for? That's basically activating your mandatory. At the end of the day, I gotta move forward with my career." Despite moving up to light heavyweight due to lack of opportunity, Benavidez expressed his willingness to drop back down to 168 pounds for a potential fight with Canelo. He has grown increasingly frustrated with the ranking systems in boxing, where top contenders like himself have to wait endlessly for opportunities that never come to fruition.
What I wanted to tell you guys too, I mean, this guy, he's making the most money out of everybody. He's charging you guys so much for the pay-per-views. It's like he's spitting in your guys' face, saying that he doesn't give a what you guys want. He's not going to give you the best fights. He's going to fight the fights that he wants. In my opinion, that's a little bit disrespectful to the fans, but he has cult-like fans that, you know, they don't tell him shit and they're happy with whatever he does. But at the end of the day, if you hold all the titles, you got to fight the best in the division. I'm number one in the division, number one contender. The second one is David Morrell. He's not fighting me, nor he's not fighting David Morrell. So it makes no sense. How is he going to call himself the champion and have all these belts if he doesn't fight the number one or the number two guys? He's asking $200 million. Why, when they bring my name up with him, that's the most money he's going to make. When he fought Amir Khan, he outweighed him at like 25 pounds. But, you know, I think it's just he's running out of excuses and running out of things to say, but that's just how it is. I guess that's when you're the cash cow, you can do whatever you want.
On social media, Berlanga didn't shy away from retaliating after Benavidez criticized Canelo for fighting him. Berlanga fired back with a message on X, attacking Benavidez and his father. Berlanga's post showed just how heated things have gotten, saying, "That fat ass. He is a dirtbag just like his father. God doesn't bless people who are always hating on another man. That's for females, bro." Now, what do you think? Will Berlanga deliver on his promise? Or will Canelo prove once again why he's a legend and the king of his realm? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to connect with us and get daily boxing updates.